Hi, everyone. My name is Mel Robertson, and I'm the host of Dare to Dream Bigger, where you're going to learn how to harness the power of creation, get clear about your desires, and bring your biggest dream into reality. I have an amazing expert in store for you today, and her name is Marcy Neumann. I chose her because she knows we are already hardwired to be manifestation masters. Marcy Neumann began her long and illustrious career as an RN, Reverend, and energy healer back in the early 70s. Since that time, she has been in the self-help and people helping industry, utilizing many modalities within the framework of conventional medicine and non-traditional methods of healing. In addition, she was instrumental in creating a number of specialized programs around Long Island for hospitals, hospice, and other facilities, supporting people in making changes for healthier, happier, and more fulfilling lives. In 2001, Marcy began her very successful private coaching and spiritual counseling practice, which focuses on cell pH, self-love for physical, mental, and emotional healing, and letting go to let in with heart shift coaching. What an honor it is to have you here, Marcy. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Mel. It's an honor for me to be here with you and for all of our listeners.
Welcome. So before we get started, would you just care to share with our audience a little bit more about your background and who you are and how you came to be a heart shift coach?
I'd love to. Thanks. The one thing I want everyone to know is that I'm where I am because of a process. It's an evolutionary process. I didn't just snap my fingers one day and appear here. And I think that that's an important thing for everyone to really understand, that every single one of us walking on this earth are on that path, okay? So we have to just sort of create an awareness so that we know where we are at any given moment. And then we can really start to self-actualize during that time. But my awareness of this work really started back in the 70s when I was graduating as a registered nurse, and I was also the same year ordained as a spiritualist minister. And so I had this wonderful, wonderful blessing of being this liaison, this bridge between both worlds, conventional medicine and non-conventional medicine. As a spiritualist minister, I was taught hands-on healing. I was taught to use meditation as a means for healing and a means of really developing that greater consciousness and connecting to the core of our being. So I used it with all of my patients. And then I had doors that were opened for me because of that. And one thing led to another, and like I said, I had these blessings of being recognized as someone that was trusted in both fields. And so as time went on, I just continued to accumulate more and more certifications and create programs because of them. And before I knew it, I had a whole library of things that I could offer to my patients and my clients based upon my own experiences and based upon my trainings, but most of all based upon the connections that I had developed to my own spirit. And that's really what happened as this all evolved. I created a greater connection to my spirit. But then something happened, and I just sort of gave it up. And it was when I got married, and I thought that I had to be something other than what I was. And in fact, I started to lose touch with a lot of really important parts of myself because I believed that they were going to be unacceptable in the new community that I was living in.
Right.
And I'm going to tell you that there actually came a time where I really consciously forgot that I had been ordained as a spiritualist minister.
Wow.
That's how hard I worked subconsciously at burying that because I was afraid of being judged.
Mm-hmm.
I was afraid of being seen just too different in this very affluent and very sort of commercialized community that I was living in.
Right.
And then here's what happened one day. And by the way, it was an epiphany that changed my whole life. But I was out in Montana at a wedding for one of my family members, and everybody was there, including my 4 kids who came in from all parts of the world. And we were also celebrating my 25th wedding anniversary. And I'd always had this really strong affinity for the Native American. And truth is, I stepped on that soil and I felt completely connected. So we were at a party, and I look out into this person's backyard, and there's an authentic teepee.
Oh, wow.
Well, I snuck out of the party as quickly as I could, and I went back into the teepee, and I pulled back those ceiling flaps, and I had this cosmic experience of feeling like the stars were right in my hand.
Mm.
And I laid down on the rugs that were inside, and I was just staring at these stars, and I started to make this very lengthy gratitude list. Because truth was, here I was, I had such an idyllic life. I had anything and everything that anybody could ever want. I was celebrating my 25th wedding anniversary, had a marriage where people came to us for advice, had 4 kids well on their way to happiness. And I'm lying there making this list, and all of a sudden, like a ticker tape across my mind's eye, it says, how much longer do I have to do this, Lord? Well, I was shocked. I bolted upright. I broke out into a sweat. And I actually ran out and vomited in the bushes.
Mm.
I was shaken to the core of my being. And all I could think of was, oh my God, where did that come from? And how long have I been suppressing this? And the truth was, I could feel in the core of my being that it was true. I started to understand in that split second that I was living a life that had very little to do with me.
Mm-hmm.
And I was living a life that was really so focused on pleasing so many other people. Mm-hmm. But also in that moment, Mel, I started to feel a great deal of guilt and shame.
Right.
Because I said to myself, how can I be so ungrateful? Look at everything that I have. Look at the life that I lead. And as that shame and that guilt started to mount, I said, I really need help. And so the minute that I got back to Long Island, which is where I was living at the time, I sort of, got all the support that I possibly could from my friends in the healing field, from a therapist who, works specifically with helping people during deep transition. And I knew that I had to start dealing with these things. Mm-hmm. And what happened was I also started to look at myself in a completely different way. And aside from all the parts of me that I started to remember that were so important to me and I had given up, I also realized that I was not well. Even though at that point, like I said, I had all these credentials. I was a Reiki master. I was a vegetarian, a card-carrying PTA member. I mean, I had it all. I didn't feel well.
Right.
I had, issues with my hips that were so bad that I wouldn't be able to get up out of a chair. I had constant digestive problems. I had constant headaches. And worst of all, I had panic attacks that used to wake me in the middle of the night. Mm-hmm. And they always had the same thing. I couldn't find my wedding ring. And I began to realize the crux of all of this was really I was so unhappy in my marriage. Mm. And I had done such an incredible job at sweeping that under the rug that all my focus was then on being something other than what I was meant to be.
Right.
And so it was this whole domino effect. And I realized that it was all based on my belief that I wasn't enough with who I was. Mm. And there came a moment where I knew that I had to save myself. I could actually feel my spirit crying out. And I started to let my spirit take over. Mm. And I got to the point where I asked just one question. Is this in support of my spirit? Mm. And to make a long story short, I ended up leaving behind nearly everything that had defined me for almost 30 years.
Wow.
And it was enormous. It was a huge undertaking of letting go. And we're going to talk about that in a little while and why that's so important, because I had to let go of so many belief systems that had kept me in that place for such a long time that I had actually sacrificed my spirit in order to stay.
Yeah.
And as I let my spirit come more and more in control and in charge, miraculous things started to happen. Not only did I begin to experience parts of myself that I had never experienced before in terms of creativity and, oh my gosh, just things laying themselves at my feet. But my physical manifestations started to disappear until one day I realized, oh my gosh, I could do cartwheels through this room. I haven't had a Tums or an Advil since I left, and best, I had had perfect night's sleep.
Oh.
No more panic attacks.
Wow.
And I began to recognize the enormity of what I had done. And it came down to just one thing. I had begun to love myself in a way that I had never loved myself before.
Yeah.
And I started to step into my authentic being. And I'm here to tell you that the universe not only laid itself at my feet, but it started to deliver things on silver platters. And my self-help, self-love, health and wellness program is one of those. I sat down one day thinking I was just taking notes, making notes on all of the things that I had experienced because I knew I wanted to share them with my clients. When all of a sudden it started to flow through me in a way that I can only describe as channeling. And just a few days later, I had not only this manual for teaching, but I had the workbook. I had everything that I needed to start teaching that program immediately. And that was back in 2007. And if I tell you the miracles that have taken place, and I started to teach this course and to use it to actually create programs that are based on its principles for my clients, I've changed lives all around the world. And the beauty of it is that once you learn it, you don't need me anymore. It's a self-help program. Absolutely. And my job is to empower people and to teach them and to give them the skills so that they can go out and live life the way I'm living life.
Absolutely.
And it's not to tell you that there won't be obstacles and there won't be challenges, because that's what life is about. It's about the choices that we are given the opportunity to make.
Mm-hmm.
And it's how we make those choices and the skills that we have that allow us to make the choices that serve our spirit. Because at the end of the day, that's what we're doing here. So what I've experienced, I teach. And like I said, I continue to use these same principles and processes in my own life. And it's what I'm doing here and how I got here today. It never stops. And that's what I meant in the beginning. It's so important for all of us to understand. We're not ever meant to be complete.
No, we're not.
We wouldn't need to be here. But we are meant to evolve, and we can accelerate that process and live life dreaming huge dreams, dreaming bigger than we ever dreamt before because of it.
Absolutely. You're living a really big dream right now, aren't you? Didn't you just take off somewhere and pack up?
Yeah.
You want to share with our audience what big dream you're living now?
Yeah. And the truth is, I can tell you it started just weeks ago, but when I recognized, and I recognized this very early on, is how orchestrated everything is in our lives. Mm-hmm. We have choices about how fast we want to do it, how much we want to be conscious of it and aware of it, but it's orchestrated. And about 4 years ago, a little over 4.5 years ago, I started to get this inkling, actually, that I needed to move out west. I told you I was living on Long Island, and I had this urging that I couldn't explain. It made no sense, Mel. I had a thriving private practice. I had a manufacturing company where I manufacture law of attraction manifestation kits. I had a huge social life, living near New York City. I mean, I had it all.
Right.
Again, I couldn't shake it. So I've been doing a lot of traveling back and forth, doing workshops and so forth in California, Colorado. And I said, well, maybe that's what's calling me. But I went there, and it didn't feel right. I loved being there, but it didn't feel like home. Mm-hmm. And then I decided I'd check out Arizona. And Mel, that also didn't make any sense because I have a heat sensitivity, okay?
Right.
It's really an intolerance. So Arizona didn't seem like it made sense. But nonetheless, I followed that urging because it was so clear. And that's what I want to tell people also. When we open ourselves to actually hear, to feel what Spirit is telling us, we know when we're in direct communication. So I went to Arizona, I rented a car, and I started to drive around areas that I thought might speak to me. Well, I came into Prescott, and the minute I got out of my car, I knew that that was the place I needed to move to. So I went back to Long Island, packed up all my things, closed my practice, rented my house, and I moved to Prescott, Arizona, where I didn't know one soul.
Awesome.
Not one person.
That is so awesome.
And I started my practice online, right? I'm using Skype, which I do now internationally. And I started to really mold my business so that I could be mobile and still be in service, because that's my ultimate goal. And it's what fulfills my spirit.
Right, yeah.
And so I started to create all of this. And a month later, I met the man who turned out to be the love of my life. So now fast forward 3 years, and both of us shared a dream, and that was to immerse ourselves in another culture. And we both share this affinity for these Southeast Asian cultures. And one thing led to another, and it was around January, and I said, it's time to look at that dream. I could feel it so strongly. And it was like, this is it. This is the time. And we started to talk about it. And first we zeroed in on China, and I told you that story when we spoke earlier, but it didn't pan out. It instead led us to Thailand. And September 1st, just 9 months after we started talking about it, we sold 90% of all of our belongings, gave them away, distributed them, so that what's left is in a 10 by 15 storage unit from our whole house. Sold our cars, really started to create everything that we needed in order to make a successful transition. We, on September 1st, left for Bangkok. We spent a week in Bangkok, and now we're in Chiang Mai, where we rented a beautiful apartment. And the moment we both stepped into it, it felt like home. We've only been here 2 weeks. We have met so many people who are of like mind and like heart. And we feel like we are being carried on this pillow almost everywhere we go, every minute that we're here.
Yeah.
And we're experiencing the same thing that I experienced when I first left that marriage and that life. It is a freedom, it is connectedness that can only be described as joyful and filled with truth. And again, I want all of our participants to know it didn't come without challenge. It didn't come without a lot of soul searching. And it didn't come without a lot of letting go. And that has become my expertise.
Yeah.
Where I'm now able to teach other people how to let go of the things that are keeping them from realizing the life that they're meant to live. It's closing that gap between where they are and where they want to be. And giving them the skills so that they can continue to identify for themselves what's been creating the resistance, what's been creating the blocks, and what's been keeping them small.
Yeah.
Because we're meant to live big.
We are.
We're meant to live fully.
Yes.
That's what we're doing here. And in fact, I'm going to take it a step further to say it's our obligation to do so. Because it's my belief that we agreed to that. We agreed to come here to this earth to self-actualize in a process so that we can deliver our greatest gift.
Yeah.
We're all one. And we're one of this family of humanity, but we're also one with every universal particle of spirit and light.
Yeah.
And I believe it's our job to elevate and to be consciously aware of who we are and the importance of our being.
Yeah. For all my listeners out there, if you're wondering and you're struggling with knowing it's like you have to do this work to get somewhere, you feel like, what's my work? Well, your work is to expand. Your work is to get big. Your work is to just blow out into the universe and just get really, really big and fill with love. It just keeps getting better and better.
Yes.
Marcy, what does it really take for us to let go and get unstuck?
Okay, great question, Mel. I think the most important thing, number one, is a willingness to have a different perspective. It's the only way that change can happen.
Yeah.
If you want to create change and are not willing to change your perspective, it will never happen. Or if it does, it's going to take a long time, and that time is going to be filled with a lot of frustration and losing faith and not trusting in the universe.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the fallout of not being willing to change a perspective. And the reason that that's so important is this. Our perspective is like the lens through which we're looking at the entire world.
Yeah.
And it's based on a certain energy frequency. So I want all of our participants to think for a moment, if you're looking through a particular lens that's been created for you, which is typically how that lens gets created because we're looking at life through other people's eyes, the only thing that you can see is what those lenses brings into focus.
Right.
Right?
Right. Absolutely.
Exactly.
Need new lenses.
Lens is created so that you can only see things that are near. You're only going to see things that are near. If it's created so you can only see things that are afar, you'll only see things that are afar. But look how much you're missing in between.
Yep.
That's what your perspective is.
Yeah.
It's a lens. So we need to change the lens. We need to change that energy frequency so that you can see something outside of it.
Yes.
We need to create it so that you can see both near and far, so that you can see detail and yet have a panoramic view.
Absolutely.
That's how the universe sees.
Yeah.
And what happens is the minute that we allow ourselves to change our perspective, change that lens, we get to see what the universe has waiting for us, what it has in mind for us.
Yeah.
And it's always connected to our soul's purpose. And the purpose we've given our spirit is to provide the opportunities for us to experience that. So the moment that we say, yes, I'm willing, guess what happens? The universe starts to conspire all these ways for that to happen. Yes! She said yes! She said yes! Oh my gosh! And it's just going to bring all this light in and all of these new possibilities.
Yep.
Well, if you're fearful and then you pull back, what happens to the possibilities is that they start to lose their ability to come into your focus. So what I do in teaching people how to let go is that we first have to identify what needs to be let go of. What's created that lens? How are you looking at life through other people's eyes? What are the belief systems that are actually in control? And I know they are. They controlled me.
Yep.
For so many years. I had the belief system that divorce wasn't an option.
Right. Absolutely.
That's how I was raised.
Mm-hmm.
It's not an option.
Right. And that belief almost killed you.
I could still hear my father's voice. You made your bed, now you lie in it.
Right.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't know it, but that's what forced me, and it forced me to believe that I had to sweep under the rug the things I thought would be found unacceptable about me.
Right.
And what was it? It was all the most wonderful parts of me that were connected to my spirit. So this is what I do. I help people to identify what needs to be let go of so that we can change the lens, change the frequency of energy. Because like energy attracts like energy.
Yep.
It can't attract anything outside of itself. So I say I'm a light injector. I help them to inject light into the lens so that they can start to see something different. And then what happens is the universe is full on in celebration, bringing all these things to feed this new energy and to take you higher and higher and higher and higher. And it never stops.
No?
The only time it stops is when we put the brakes on and we go to reach for those old glasses that we used to. So I teach skills, how to identify it as it continues to show itself, because it doesn't want to let go of its grip. Okay? It's been having this free ride for a long time. It's been just the way it wanted it, nice and comfortable. So that's how I teach people to let go of the things that are keeping them small, keeping them from dreaming big and living big.
Wonderful. Wonderful. And what a way to dream big, Marcy. I love your example, and I love the way that you're living your life. And I love how you've lived your life even 4 years ago when you were just following your guidance. I think that's so amazing. I love seeing that. And it's such an inspiration to be sharing your journey with you. So thanks so much for being a part of this.
Thank you so much.
I understand that you have an amazing free gift you want to offer our viewers. Would you want to talk about it for a second?
I do. I've put together actually a whole package of things that I've written, as well as some audio, and a support package for you to be able to start to shift that perspective, to start seeing yourself differently, and to start accepting that you're meant to live and dream bigger. In addition, and I know there are lots of people in our industry who think that I'm crazy, but in addition, it also includes a half-hour free consultation with me.
Wonderful.
So that I can help you to start to identify for yourself what needs to be changed, what needs to be let go of, and what it's going to take for you so that you can start to manifest and create all of your dreams and bring your life of dreams into a life of reality.
What wonderful work you're doing.
That's how I can be best of service. So it has everything you need to take that next step forward.
What wonderful work you're doing in the world, Marcy. I'm so honored to have met you and have shared this with you. Thanks so much for being a part of Dare to Dream Bigger. And I just would like to invite you, if you have any last words you want to share with our audience before we go ahead and take a moment.
I think, if anything, I just want each and every one of our listeners to understand that you're here because you're important. You're important for the whole big picture. And it's not to put pressure, not to put any weight on you. It's to help to set you free. I want you to know that you're so meaningful and that there's a special gift that only you are here to deliver. That's how unique you are. And I know that we all think we're all the same, and we are in many ways, but there's only one of you, and there's only one of you who can deliver what you came to deliver in the way that you can.
Absolutely.
And there's only one of you who can create life that will make you happy. And set your heart free and bring you to the point where you can experience the joy and the freedom that that life will deliver. And it's just waiting for you. It's over here, and it wants to be right here so that you can be in it.
Thank you so much. And I do promise you all, if you step up and you try to go in and you just make the effort and just have the willingness, the universe will step up and meet you. I promise you, and it will get better because it just has to. It's law. It can't happen any other way.
That's right. It is law.
I dare you all to dream bigger. Thank you so much, Marcy. It's been a pleasure.
My honor and my greatest pleasure was to be here with you today.
Mm.
Thank you, Mel. And thank you, everyone who's watching and listening.
Oh, thanks so much.